Okay, and then,
All righty.
okay. And then I gotta do a got it. Okay, so I'm not seeing myself. Wait. Hello. Um,
We can see you. You look beautiful.
well, okay, then we'll just go with that. Good morning, everyone. I'm here to welcome you this morning for the service and remind you that everyone needs to mute. And so here's the candle, the Christ candle. The light of this candle is the living light of the Christ, that spark of the divine that lives within each of us. We give thanks, and so it is. And now I would like to say that our speaker today is Karie Hillary. We're so happy to have you here after all these, whatever, over 10 years that you have been sharing your beautiful music and inspiring talks. And so she is going to open the service now with singing for us, Surely the Presence.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel its mighty power and its grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the light is in this place. I can feel its mighty power and its grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the light is in this place. Surely the presence of the light is in this
Thank you, very Carrie. Beautiful, just beautiful. So I'd like to continue now to have you to read the invocation affirmation of our church. And I want you to think about this. This is who we are. There is only one presence and one power active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. There is only one presence and one power active in Unity Clear Lake Center, God the good, omnipotent. And finally, there is only one presence and one power active in our world, God the good, omnipotent. And you know, the 5 basic ideas of unity is the basic foundation for the unity churches, actually. God is absolute good, everywhere present. Human beings have a spark of divine spirit within them, the Christ consciousness within. Therefore, they are inherently good. Human beings create their expression by the activity of their thinking. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Prayer is the process that affirms our connection with God mind and brings forth wisdom, healing, and everything good. And finally, knowing and understanding universal laws, also called truth, are not enough. A person must also live the truth that he or she knows. And so now Karie is going to sing, right? Yes. Karie's going to sing a beautiful song for us. There is enough. Thank you, Karie.
You're all invited to sing along on this one.
A song that's a call and response and a sing along. So on the verses, I'm going to sing a line and you'll sing it back to me. And on the chorus, we'll all sing that part together. So let's have fun with this. I close my eyes, I open my mind, and I look inside. What do I find? A heart filled with joy, life touched by grace. I'm feeling love for the whole human race. There is enough. There is enough. Everybody, I am enough. We are enough. I let it go. And I open up. Embrace all I have. Give all I got. I open my heart. Reach out my hands. Sharing it all. 'Cause I understand. There is enough. There is enough. Everybody, I am enough. We are enough. I close my eyes. I open my mind. And I look inside. What do I find? A heart filled with joy. Life touched by grace. I'm feeling love for the whole human race. 'Cause there is enough. Everybody, there is enough. I am enough. We are enough. 'Cause there is enough. There is enough. I am enough. We are enough.
Well, love it. I love it. You are terrific. Wonderful song. Wonderful joy song. I am enough. All right, and I like to read the daily word for today. Yes, care. On September the 10th, it is care. I am here and I care. Sometimes my heart goes out to a friend or even a stranger who is struggling. Other times my heart breaks when I learn of another's devastating news. In those moments, I feel the urge to help. I pray affirming healing, peace, or comfort. I may offer financial support or material goods. I might call on the phone or visit in person. Even so, I may feel my efforts are not enough. especially when needs are great. But the impulse to care is in many people. The activity of God streaming through so many hearts and hands. As I join my efforts with theirs, I trust we can lift up even the most dire situation. I am a caring presence, ready to help, serve, and love. Repeat to yourself, I am here and I care. And Carrie's talk, How Common Ground Heals, I believe, is going to offer us many suggestions along the lines of this. I am here and I care. I look forward to hearing your talk this morning, Karie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara. It's always such a pleasure to come back to communities that I love as much as the people in your community. So thank you for continuing to include me. So I've had this life goal for as far back as I can remember, and that is to somehow be a change maker. Someone who would use my gifts to help co-create a world that works for everyone. A world that's loving and compassionate, kind, inclusive, supportive, where there's room for all faiths, traditions, all paths, all lifestyles, all healthy means of self-expression, and a world where everyone would feel safe and welcome to live out loud as whatever their meaning of self-expression would be in the world. And so that they could do whatever their soul guides them, how they are driven to show up in the world. And I believe that finding common ground is a powerful way to help heal that which seems to be stopping us from co-creating this kind of a world. So the immediate paradox that comes up for me is, what is the right way to do this that would be the best for everyone? Well, author Jim Collins says, builders of greatness are comfortable with paradox. They don't oppress themselves with the tyranny of the or, which pushes people to believe that things must be either A or B, but not both. Instead, they liberate themselves with the genius of the and. Ah, the and. Such a powerful place to reside in, where the paradox is there doesn't just have to be one right way. Maybe there's lots of right ways. Maybe there's many paths that can lead us to the same desired outcome. And finding something common to build upon is one of the keys. So Janus was the Roman god of beginnings and endings. And Janus represents transitions, gates, doorways, time, duality. This god is typically pictured as a god with two faces facing 180 degrees away from each other. And to me, this is such a powerful visual for a different, more opening way of perception. And that is weighing opposite viewpoints. The term Januism thinking was coined by psychiatrist Albert Rothenberg, and it consists of embracing opposite thoughts and ideas consecutively at the same time as a way of approaching problem solving. And it's kind of mind-bending, but it's living in the and, not just things being one way or another. It's that they can be many ways at the same time. So I don't know if you've ever tried it, but to me it's amazingly expanding. So I have found that when working toward consensus, when we create the space for opposing viewpoints, that no matter how different those viewpoints might appear on the surface, that there's always a common thread that you can suss out in the fabric of all of these differing viewpoints. And that there's always that, no matter how differing the sides of a dispute might be. And to do this, one just needs to make the space for, one, the possibility that there might be some common ground somewhere that can be found, and to be willing to explore another's viewpoint, a different viewpoint, to, in essence, to be willing to compromise. Paradox calls us to be both curious and vulnerable, while society teaches us that knowing and being right is more important than curiosity, more important than a willingness to open up, to learn, to simply shift our perception a little bit. So I have to say, society can be pretty stubborn and not that helpful. So, two, it's a pity that being flexible can't be considered, that can often be considered being weak or wishy-washy. I see this a lot when we're evaluating our leaders, either our leaders within our churches or our leaders in school districts, and very often our government leaders. I can remember being mystified why, if a leader would be willing to consider new information or differing viewpoints and possibly change their stance or their policies because of this new information that they've integrated, that they were, like, I remember Bill Clinton was called a flip-flopper. And I think one of his greatest gifts as a president was his willingness to reach across the aisle, his willingness to stay open to differing viewpoints and to incorporate the new information that came into his leadership and to make changes that were actually very beneficial to the greater number of people. I respected him for being willing to adjust. And it seems to me when we're willing to compromise, mountains can be moved. The gridlock that I see occurring in our government as it is now, where there seems to be a complete unwillingness to find any kind of a consensus for the greater good of all people, is not serving anyone. I mean, how ridiculous is this habit of digging in our heels and be unwilling to even seek an agreement on anything? So a willingness to look for common ground on which to build solutions or relationships often requires the quieting of our egoic conversation long enough to truly hear another's perspective. So Guy Finley wrote, "It's a paradox of the true spiritual path, but the more curious we become of what limits us, the more limitless our life becomes." So I find that to be fascinating, because when we become aware of what's holding us back, it can help us open up more. So opening up and staying open at the top is such a powerful practice. Being willing to shift our perception enough to actually sincerely change our minds, our paths, to allow others to have their path, their way of doing things, and not be othering them or making them wrong just because what works for them doesn't necessarily work for us. And maybe sussing out that common thread in where we disagree. Because these are good things to work on in all situations, this being open. So I want to share a song about being willing to open up.
Gonna open up, gonna open up, gonna open up to change. Gonna open up, gonna open up, gonna open up to change. Looking ever deeper, seeking a new way. Time to shift my thinking, embrace a
when we are in pain. Loving kindness heals us, pulls us through again. Gonna lift us up, gonna lift us up, gonna lift us up to love. Gonna lift us up, gonna lift us up, gonna lift us up to love. Sometimes in confusion, when we long for peace, stuck in dark delusion, trust is within reach. Gonna lift us up, gonna lift us up, gonna lift us up to love. Gonna lift us up, gonna lift us up, gonna lift us up to love. Gonna lift us up, gonna lift us up, gonna lift us up to love. Gonna lift us up, gonna lift us up, gonna lift us up to love. Gonna lift us up to love. Gonna lift us up to love.
So, number 3 is to find the courage and curiosity to be vulnerable enough to allow ourselves to change our mind or position by being open to a shift in perception. So we are often taught that we should only show the very best parts of ourselves to the world, giving people our social media highlight reel of all of the wonderful good things, none of our ugly, messy stuff. And my experience has been that when I post something that exposes my true feelings, like on my Facebook page, that such as this recent post that Alan has up on the screen, that I get incredible responses. So I'm going to read this. So often we hurt our own feelings by thinking we mean more to people than we really do, just because they mean that much to us. People treat you exactly how they feel about you. Pay attention to actions, not just words. Okay, so I posted that, and the responses, I got a lot of responses, and they surprised me. Just that I got so many responses supporting that quote. One that I thought was particularly good was, "Oh dear Lord, this." So this quote really resonated with this person. But one of my friends pushed back really hard on the sentiment of that quote, and she said this: "This is an unkind blanket statement. I am nearly 80 years old. I have changed since I have been in the refiner's fire. Life looks so different now than it used to, and you learn that no human copes really well with life on earth. We treat others according to our belief systems, our training, our abilities to understand and think correctly, and many other factors." Yikes. She is right. That people only have their own personal history and knowledge from which they react, behave, love. And that's an equally valid, completely opposite viewpoint. So instead of me being angry at her for pointing out that maybe that was kind of an unkind blanket statement that I had shared, that she had a really valid point that maybe there's a completely different way of looking at that. And, oops, she made me take a minute and realize that the reason I resonated with that original quote was because of my judgment against one of my closest, dearest friends. And her pushing back helped me realize that their way of expressing love is very different than mine. In deeper consideration, I realized that this is all they know. Their treatment of me stems from their life experience, their lost loves, their hurts, their fears, their triggers, not a desire to make me feel less than. So go figure. We're all just spirit in human form, trying to find our way. And all of this sharing of the vulnerable, messy side of ourselves can help us grow and learn. So what a huge wake-up call it can be sometimes to recognize how precious and connecting actually sharing the non-highlight reel of our lives can be. And what a deepening practice it can be to cultivate more trust in showing up as our authentic selves, which in turn gives others permission to do the same. So you can read this beautiful quote by Brene Brown, which says, vulnerability is the first thing we look for in other people and the last thing we want to show them about ourselves. So here's an attribute that we are generally attracted to in other people, yet we fear showing this messy, confused, fearful part of ourselves and consider that these parts of ourselves represent some kind of a failure. So perhaps letting go of our own self-judgment gives others permission to do the same for themselves and for us and for other people. When we let go of judgment, we allow ourselves to go deeper, to open up more, to grow, to learn. And when we allow ourselves to do that, we are gently opening the door to different ideas and perceptions that might otherwise be hidden away. Because if we don't give other people permission and we don't give ourselves permission to be vulnerable and open and afraid and admit that maybe we don't know everything, we're closing the door off to our own growth and potentially giving other people permission to go through their own willingness to look at their own stuff. So playing with paradoxes offers us the ability to stay open to many perspectives, to not know, to just admit that we don't know, and to be vulnerable and uncertain. Approaching the unanswerable questions of the universe with playfulness provides us with a unique opportunity to just simply be. Just to be in the moment, to be in the confusion, to be in the question, without needing to be right or even know what right is, simply because there can be more than one right. And when I was working on this talk, it came up to me so many times in my fortunately not very recent past that I was so stuck and so stubborn on wanting to be right that I missed incredible opportunities for growth and for learning in situations that I just had dug my heels in. So imagine if we took this consciousness into business or community meetings, used it at home, especially in tense or confrontational situations, or on a global level, remaining open to a collaborative effort with respect for all different perspectives. And then we can cherry pick the parts that work and create something that's much more powerful than just what we might have brought to the table. Seems to me we'd make a lot more progress on my goal to co-create this world that works for everyone by staying open at the top, for looking at the many paradoxes in life which show up in most spiritual paths, from the Bible to Ernest Holmes to Buddhist teachings to Rumi and others. We can continue our journey in a new way and allow our teachers to stay in the question with us, as Adyashanti says. It can be uncomfortable But moving through life with an open heart can definitely open doors that wouldn't be opened otherwise.
Gonna open up my heart to the world around me. Share a smile with everyone I see. This is what I believe. What we give, we will receive. Gonna open up my heart. Gonna reach right out when somebody needs me. Listen to what their heart needs to share. Gonna try to understand, do the very best I can. Gonna open up my heart. Gonna open up my heart. Gonna try to help someone who is hurting. I heal, Lord, by showing that I care. And I will stay right by their side through the darkest hurtful times. Gonna open up my heart. Gonna open up my heart. I can see a world full of abundance. Perfection shines in everything I see. It's time to believe in our prosperity. Time to open up our hearts. Time to open up our hearts. Gonna share a little love with the world around me. Do my best to lift somebody up. Share the love I feel inside. Something deep I just can't hide. Time to open up my heart. Time to open up my heart. Share the love we feel inside. Something deep we just can't hide. Time to open up our hearts. Time to open up our hearts. Open up our hearts. Sing it with me. Open up our hearts. Open up our
That's always been one of my favorite message songs. So I don't know, probably some of you have heard of Buddhist koans. They're kind of like the parables in the Bibles. They're stories, usually conversations between a master and a student, and they have, like a moral at the end of them. So koan, they allow us to look at the polarities and paradoxes in our life from different perspective and to form a third way. And I love the image of a third way. Instead of right or wrong, there's and maybe and is the third way. So I love that the koans are used to help us keep from getting stuck in just one viewpoint. And the koan that I like the most is one I heard years ago, and it really resonated with me, probably because I get stuck in things, and I sometimes have a really hard time letting go of things. My husband can attest to that. I can be very stubborn. So this is one between Tanzan and Aikido. They were once traveling together down a muddy road. A heavy rain was still falling. Coming around the bend, they met a lovely girl in a silk kimono and sash, unable to cross the muddy intersection. "Come on, girl," said Tanzan at once. Lifting her in his arms, he carried her over the mud. Aikido did not speak again until that night when they reached a lodging temple. Then he could no longer restrain himself. "We monks don't go near females," he told Tanzan, "especially not young and lovely ones. It's dangerous. Why did you do that?" "I left the girl there," said Tanzan. "Are you still carrying her?" This colon reminds me of one of my very favorite quotes by Rumi. And this is just perspective. "Out beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there." So to me, this is a perfect example of living in the question. So here's this open field. And one person has one idea, one person has another idea, like Tanzan and Aikido. Aikido is so caught up in the rightness or wrongness of what Tanzan's actions were that he becomes a victim of this static past at the expense of the dynamic present. Tanzan had already let it go. He did what he felt was right in the situation, and he moved on. I mean, I love his response. "I left the girl there. Are you still carrying her?" Wow, it's just so simple and so powerful. And I would love to have the grace and the clarity to move through my life so effortlessly, simply trusting the universe to deliver the proper messages at the time that they're needed. The clarity to just sit in the silence and let others take the lead, and to remain open, open heart, open mind, open at the top to all possible paths and solutions and ideas to create a world that works for everyone, no exceptions. Holding a paradox mindset is the key to curiosity. It allows ourselves to step into a place of high investment but low attachment. We want to be focused and passionate and invested in the solution, yet remain unattached to exactly how to get to that solution, or even what that solution might look like. Just knowing that we're in process. So staying in neutral and willing to consider all different possibilities is an important key to living in the moment, something I am not very good at, but I've been working hard for years. And just embracing what is, embracing the paradoxes that are always present, which is that there's more than one way to get there from here. So as we seek common ground in a vision of a healed, highly functioning, loving, compassionate world, we need to be willing to do these things. We need to create space for, one, the possibility that there might be some common ground, to cultivate the openness to explore another viewpoint and the willingness to compromise. Two, maintain a willingness to look for common ground on which to build solutions or relationships. Quiet our egos and be willing to truly hear another person's perspective. Three, find the courage and the curiosity to be vulnerable enough to allow ourselves to change our minds, to change our positions by being open to a shift in perception. So recognizing that there is enough, that each and every one of us brings something unique to the table, that we are enough. Embracing this truth gives us all permission to live out loud, whatever our calling in the world is, to remain willing to embrace the paradox, to live in the question. I love how Adyashanti brings that into all of his lessons. He's one of my favorite teachers, about just living in the question, not being so attached to the answer, but just seeing what the question brings up, seeing what growth might be there, what opportunities there are to expand in the not knowing. Ernest Holmes also encourages us to keep open at the top and to have the courage to show our vulnerable spirit in all situations, to put that messy little highlight reel up for the world to see, and in so doing, give other people permission to not get it right the first time, to not be perfect, to not have all the answers. Because that's when we open the door to really work together, to find common ground, to find solutions, to find answers. So when we're willing to take the steps, we allow everyone to rise up together. We can celebrate our differences and embrace our diversity, to learn and grow as one human family. Living in the paradox can indeed grow us. So thanks for having me. I hope this gives you all some food for paradoxical thinking. Thanks.
There we go. Thank you, Karie. Thank you. I think the daily word, I am here and I care. And then these are all your ways to care. I love it. You're terrific. Thank you. All right. Well, this is my time for announcements and just connecting on with what's happening at our Unity Clear Lake Center in Lower Lake. So remembering midweek is the 13th and the 14th, the World Day of Prayer. And if you're like me, you sent in your prayer list to Unity back in Missouri, whatever. And their theme, Heart of Healing. I open my heart to healing in this moment. I open my heart. So that's the midweek. And for us to say that affirmation throughout the day and know that we are joining thousands of people. I open my heart to healing in the moment. And our next Sunday, that's our third Sunday at Unity Clear Lake Center. And our wonderful, fabulous Patricia Holler, licensed Unity teacher, will be giving a talk on exploring the light of your soul. And we want you to join us as we connect for a potluck, feng shui, and birthday celebration. So that's next Sunday. Wow. Hope to see you at church. And then the following Sunday on the 24th, we have for our Zoom service, Christy Karate. She's down in the Santa Rosa area. 3 keys to create everyday miracles. And Bill will be doing the music for us on that service with inspiring him. And she is always very inspiring too. So we hope you'll join us for the Zoom, those of you here. That'll be on the 24th. So as we continue, just remember that, of course, your donations are very, very important and greatly appreciated. So, mail to Unity, P.O. Box 755, Lower Lake, 95457. And I would like to do then prayer for protection, of which Barbara has. Here we go. Also, something that you can repeat to yourself, as I do throughout my day, especially when I'm driving. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is. Because I am, all is wonderful. And Karie's going to sing the closing song, You Are the Light. And then after that, we can unmute and stay to chat. Is that what we'll do, Karie? Whatever. Okay. All right, Karie, you are the light.
The words to this song are, "You are the light of love. I am the light of love.
Good.
You are the light. I am the light. We are the light of love." The word love will change, and I'll call out what that word's going to be. You are the light of love. I'm the light of love. You are the light. I am the light. We are the light of love. Peace. You are the light of peace. I am the light of peace. You are the light. I am the light. We are the light of peace. Joy. You are the light of joy. I am the light of joy. You are the light. I am the light. We are the light of joy. Love. You are the light of love. I am the light of love. You are the light. I am the light. We are the light of love. We are the light of love. We are the light of love.
Okay. Thank you, Karie. We can unmute Karie. So, what's your thought about the chatting, or are we just going?